Okay, welcome back to Violent Money TV, where today I am joined by Tiarnan Loughran, who, well, I mean, the plans for this interview went out the window about a half hour before recording it because your original opponent for LFL 14, October 27th, third pro fight, got, pulled out of the fight literally like the half hour before we started recording. Talk to me about the process of that.
Shit himself, lad. Shit. I don't know. I don't know what happened. You know what it was? I actually found I always study my opponents and I always find out about them. And I found out he was supposed to be fighting there. I think it would have been about 3 weeks ago now. And I texted the boy, so I was waiting to see the result of the fight. But then I seen the result, and your other man won, but he didn't beat the guy I was supposed to fight. And I was like, "What?" So I was like, "What's going on there? Why did he not fight?" So I texted the boy that he was supposed to fight, and he told me that he pulled out. So I was always, as soon as I heard that, I was thinking, "Fuck me, what's going on there?" But then I was kind of thinking maybe he's just saving himself for me. Maybe he's like holding himself and waiting. But I didn't know he's pulled it anyway. That hey, I'm used to it at this stage. It's fucking, it is what it is.
Yeah, that completely is something that I totally forgot about until you mentioned it. Because when I did look at the original opponent on Tapology, it said that the fight result that he'd had hadn't been determined, and I was like, that's weird. Like it was like
Aye.
not they hadn't confirmed yet what the result was, and I was like, that's very strange. Did you find out why he pulled out of that fight or why he pulled out of this one?
No, I have no idea why he pulled out. You know what it was? I actually texted the guy, so I texted him like, "What?" Like I would never do that. I had no idea the boy even was.
Hmm.
But I texted him, goes like, "What happened there, lad? Like, is he injured or what's going on?" And he goes, he fucking went in on him. He went in on him. He starts saying he's a shitbag. He's this, he's that, and I was like, "Fuck, hell, that's that's hard." Like I don't even know who this guy is. But no, I heard like I think I heard COVID or something, but I'm not 100% sure. Uh, Fuck it. What do you do?
Well, the positive thing is, without there's nothing confirmed yet. But you said that literally in the space of like half hour of you finding out this news, that it looks like LFL are going to be able to keep you on the card, which obviously is the most important thing.
Yeah. They've been talking. Look, I've got sent one name already, and it's already got me going. There's no point lying. He's actually a lot better than Stephen. There was Stephen Dramis. I was supposed to fight this guy. Uh, he's an Eastern European. I could probably say that much. He's pretty well rounded everywhere. He's a good fighter. It's a tough fight, but that's what I want. I want to be testing my skills. I want to be progressing every single time. I'm not. I have to beat him. I'm not going to say his record or who he is, but if I can't beat this guy at this stage, what's the point? I knew you putting guys against away, and that's what I plan to do.
I think like incredibly ironic considering this is the first time that I've spoke to you, but I think this opponents pulling out has come up multiple times, both in relation to your brother and yourself. When I've spoke to
Mm,
Caolan in the past, this has come up multiple times. Like not only obviously his last fight where Ramon Tavares pulled out and then Jake Hadley gets put in, but like that this has been a reoccurring theme of our interviews. So it feels kind of like I should have been prepared for this to happen,
yeah,
considering I know that opponents have pulled out on you quite a few times in the past.
I used to have it really bad. Like a couple of years ago as an amateur, it got better towards the end, but I'm still not in Keel's level now. That fucker, he's had no luck. He needs to go to the next one. Nearly just he gets the opponent just think, all right, that guy's not going to show up. He nearly needs to start thinking like that. The luck he's having, but yeah, I'm used to it by this stage. You know what it was like? I got what did you call him, Stephen? I got that fight like 8 weeks ago, and don't get me wrong, I feel like I don't think he was on my level. I feel like it was a long time for that fight to go on, like to be named. I felt like there was so much time for him to pull out, but yeah, then he did. But fuck it.
I mean, it sounds like from what you said about how quickly they've been able to get back to you with positive news that the experience with fighting on LFL so far has been a positive one because they haven't been around too long. But I do like a lot of what they're doing in the European scene, and I think that it's really good. Like obviously they're getting for a while they were getting a certain level of fighters. I think that bringing in guys like yourself who are then you get to watch grow through the promotion as well is another string to their bow that shows that they're here to stay.
Yeah, they're a growing promotion. Like I think they've had what have they had now? Like, I think they've had two guys on the contender series, and they've got three coming up. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I This is my last fight on the LFL contract. I'm not sure what the plan is.
Mm.
I'll have to speak to my coaches. We haven't actually spoke about it yet because we're just getting this fight out of the road. I know they're fighting again. They have a show again in December. To be honest, I don't think I'll be on that. It's been a mental year, so I think we'll probably leave that one out. But yeah, as far as a growing promotion, LFL it's the place to be. Like they're absolutely flying at the minute. So no, although this fight isn't even confirmed yet, the one I'm saying it might be that's not confirmed, but I would be pretty confident I'll be fighting. Um, I'll be fighting in 3 weeks. I'd be pretty confident.
One of the things that strikes me the most about your career so far is even though you're 2-0 as a pro, because of some of the traveling and things that you've got to do with your brother, you've probably experienced so much more than a lot of people at that level in terms of training in different places around the world, training with high level guys, experiencing what it's like for your brother to go through, all the way through Cage Warriors into the UFC, some of the crazy things that he's had to deal with in the UFC in terms of replacement opponents, and then that whole crazy stuff with his debut with fights being flipped around and stuff. Like, how valuable is that experience? Because the simple fact is there aren't many people who are 2-0 in their professional career who get to experience a lot of that stuff so early on.
Yeah, it's absolutely priceless. Like it's lucky to have like not a lot of people would have that. Like me and Kim would talk. Like we didn't maybe just talking shade about fights, and we would be maybe just something would come along, and I could pick up like a wee thing that that he's went through. So no, having Caolan there, say it all the time, having Caolan there, who has who's been where I am. Like he was at this stage where you're a 2-0 pro and you're trying to find the right matchups and guys are pulling out. Like I knew what it was like. Like he had it 10 times worse. The start of his professional career was a fucking nightmare. So I expected this, but I expected this because of him. So it's no, it's a great thing to have. I can go. I don't know. I can learn from his path in a way, and maybe learn from his mistakes. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that a lot of people that follow like the UK scene and stuff knew this going into your brother's UFC run, and the rest of the MMA fans around the world are finding it out. That he is not afraid to stir the pot a little bit, get people talking, cause some tension and stuff like that, which I think is great. It adds to the entertainment value. At the end of the day, is that a uniquely him characteristic, or does it run in the family?
I wouldn't say it runs. He's definitely the worst. He's definitely the worst. Yeah, I wouldn't say it runs in the family. I don't know. It's just he just comes out with some stuff. Maybe he doesn't even mean it. Maybe he's just sitting in an interview and he just accidentally says these things. But I I think he finds it hard to go through an interview without talking a wee bit of shit at least.
I mean, I love it. So it's great. I wouldn't want him to change. For people who haven't watched your fights on LFL before, like you said, contracts coming up soon. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to fight, either continue with LFL or move somewhere else. But for people who haven't watched your fights in the promotion, would you say there's many similarities and differences between you and Caolan's style? I'm sure a lot of people will be familiar with him because of the UFC and Cage Warriors, but how similar are you guys in terms of your actual style?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm in a place now where I am honestly I'm trying to just put it all together. Like I'm trying not even to have a style. Like it's actually quite lucky. The guy that I'm fighting now, stylistically, it's actually quite a similar matchup. If that gets confirmed, I'm not sure. Stylistically, it's a similar matchup. It would be the same game plan, I would say. But like I think I showed in my last fight, like just to completely mix it up. Like I normally I'm a shoot boxer kind of style. Like the last fight, I messed it up. I fought in the back, fought, stuffed the takedown, and just kind of kickboxed. But I'm trying to pull away from that having a style. Like I remember I was listening to Dan Hooker and he was saying, like Dan Hooker, I love listening to him. He's so experienced. But he was saying if you go into the UFC and you think you're going to be the best in the world with this one style, he's like, it's just not going to work. And I was like, yeah, that's probably there's always going to be these wee styles who can beat you. So I feel like now in the modern game, you just have to be able to do it all. And I think Keelan's thinking the same. So yeah, I would say there's definitely similarities, but just trying to get the whole rounded gaming.
Is there like I suppose I think this is part of it with, on the topic of opponents pulling out and stuff, where it definitely feels like earlier on in your pro career, it is more of a focus on being the best version of yourself rather than catering to opponents because you never know if those opponents are even going to be there. So it's a little bit harder to game plan for certain people. I imagine that makes it easier when you're not as focused on like, okay, well, what does this guy bring to the table that I need to counter? When you speak about being able to adapt to different styles, not only having that approach, but then also the amateur background as well, where you could be fighting anyone. That's going to show up really because of how many opponents and stuff will cycle through. I imagine that helps because you've already spent a lot of time just preparing for all kinds of different styles to be ready to adapt in the cage rather than coming in with like a really focused game plan.
Exactly. I like what did I have? I was 10-2 and 1 an amateur, so I had 13 fights. So there's like doing those training camps and being under the pressure of having to get good at beating that style. Like I faced all different styles as an amateur. Obviously learned some stuff. Maybe didn't try to adapt. Maybe just stuck to my old style, and that's where I fell short. Whereas you should be able to. All right, I need to fight this way. I need a box in the. I need a kick on the outside. All right, this time I need to be in the front foot. I need a shoot box. I need that kind of style. Um, so that's why I'm glad I did have the extensive amateur career. Obviously went pretty well as an amateur. But just getting those number of fights and getting that number of opponents, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change any of it. And it's the same as when you go to the UFC. Like you're gonna get D1 wrestlers. You're also gonna get glory kickboxing world champions. Like who knows which one you get? One could be ranked 24, one could be ranked 25. You have to be ready for either of them. And it's with me being 23, it's good to be able to progressively get there as I go on.
Do you think like because naturally, right, over the years in MMA, still a young sport, but we've already got it right now where you've got people who are at the top level of the sport who started training in MMA rather than coming from like a traditional background. Do you feel like that'll become even more relevant? Because, like you said, I think that a lot of people like that are around the same point in their careers are going to have that same approach that you have in terms of making sure that you're ready to counter different styles rather than, like you said, with the Dan Hooker stuff, being known for being good at one thing. Like I think of Magomed Ankalaev in the UFC, right? Like that's I think one of the reasons why he's so successful is he can adapt his style based on who he's fighting. He can outstrike grapplers or out grapple the strikers. Like, do you feel like we're going to see that more and more? Like, is that the next evolution of MMA where everyone is just rather than seeing as many specialists maybe as you see now?
I would say so because I would say like 10 years ago, like the likes of McGregor coming through, I would say it was very uncommon for people to not come from a sport. Like they either would have
Yeah.
came. Although when I was over in America, a lot of them, 90% of them still come from a wrestling background.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like the advantage of now coming from MMA is you're not attached to any position. Like if you come from wrestling your whole life, you're attached to that. You're thinking, fuck, if things go wrong here, I'm shooting a takedown. Or maybe you were the glory kickbox, you were kickbox from no age. Then you're thinking, oh fuck, if I get taken down here, I could be in trouble. Whereas me, I started in MMA. I hadn't threw a jab before I got into MMA. I had no idea what a fucking single leg was. So I just kind of done it all. I was maybe one night kickboxing, one night MMA, but I don't know. That seems to be the way it's going now. Like a lot more people are starting MMA, so everyone's good everywhere. Um, so that's it. Hey, who can just trying to be the best at the all round game? That's the goal now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see the evolution, and fingers crossed that opponent that you got through does end up coming together for LFL 14. Because excited to see it, man. I appreciate your time,
Yeah.
and
You know
I'm
what
sure
it is,
we'll
lad?
catch up with you after.
You know what it is about this boy? Like, it's a massive step up.
Really,
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I swear to God, I just watched him. I watched his first fight. He fucking like, maybe I'll not give too much away. Some freaks might be able to get his fight, but like the boy he comes out with like a real nice kickboxing style, and the boy shoots a takedown. My guy hits a lateral drop, ends up armbarring off his back. I watched it, was like, what the fuck's this? Like I was supposed to fight this guy Steven Drummies, who was I'm not gonna lie, he was pretty shit. This guy looks this guy looks very good. So yeah, it's a big fight in 3 weeks, lad. Big fight.
I imagine there will probably be an announcement out there as to what is happening before this interview even comes out. So, fortunately, we won't be ruining anything because, like you said, I'm sure there's someone out there who's like, I'm sure I've seen that exact thing.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
Maybe
like an
not.
old it's an old Eastern European promotion. Be fucking high if they did, they'd be weird.
Yeah, yeah. Fair play to
They'd
him.
be fucking weird.
All right, man. Nice one. Like I said, appreciate your time. I'll catch you sometime after. But yeah, nice one.
All good, Jed. Thank you.
All right. Have a good rest of your day, man. See you later.
Yeah, you do. See you there.